Now, Access Bank on Monday this week unveiled its 5-year strategy plan. Now, one of the key components of this plan is the bank's continued commitment to sustainability. Omobolanle Victor-Laniyan, head of sustainability at Access Bank, and Owolabi, a project director at Hacey Health Initiative, joins us now to discuss the benefits of sustainable business practices. Thank you so much. An absolute pleasure to have you on Closing Bell today. Omobolanle, let me start with you. Big announcement this week by Access Bank, the 5-year strategy plan, and part of it is, sustainability. But let me ask you this: what does sustainability mean to Access Bank?
Well, to Access Bank, sustainability is about responsible business practices. For us, we believe that it's not just profit at all costs. We need to consider environmental and social issues before we consider profits or in consideration of profits. So we coined our own definition, which is supporting global and local efforts at providing innovative solutions to social and environmental challenges in society.
Oh, good. Now, Isaiah, I knew that, under this broad 5-year plan, Access Bank is partnering with the likes of Hacey Health. There's some initiatives around health, like the Malaria to Zero initiative, if I'm correct, and some other initiatives. But tell us how Hacey Health comes in and what you're doing with Access Bank.
Over the years, Access Bank has invested strongly in healthcare in Nigeria, and that's because they believe it's win-win for the bank and even for the society as a whole. If you improve people's health, their productivity will increase, and that's why Access Bank and Private Sector Health Alliance and Hacey Health, as the lead implementer of the Malaria to Zero campaign, came together about 18 months ago to say we want to save 1 million lives in the next 5 years. And over the last 18 months, we've been able to save 300,000 lives. And I believe this is a journey for Access Bank PLC. And they are still in this journey, and that's part of the reason why they created this 5-year plan, so that there is a goal, there's a vision, and there's a way to inspire other private sector stakeholders and even development organizations like Hacey Health Initiative to make sure that the effort that we're putting into improving healthcare and productivity is coordinated, and it also has a lot of investment and driving force from the private sector.
Now, quickly, when you say saving 300,000 lives, right, in what way? Or is it through vaccines or just prevention?
In a lot of ways. So the Malaria to Zero initiative actually has 5 pillars, which includes the seasonal malaria chemo prevention program. It includes the distribution of long-lasting insecticide-treated net, demand creation, which is what a lot of people would call health promotion, that is engaging people, informing them about preventing malaria. And it also includes research, that is funding research. Because to cover this gap, we need to know what's done, what we need to do, and how we need to cover the gap. And this is where Access Bank comes in heavily to say, we understand what's happening in the society and we're ready to partner. And a private sector like Access Bank coming in is not just bringing investment into play. They are also bringing, for example, their competence within the private sector, the resources within the private sector. So, for example, their employees are engaged in the kind of programs that are delivered by the Malaria to Zero initiative. So it's all encompassing, and it's more like a role model for other private sector and government agencies to see that this is the way to invest and this is the way to end malaria in Nigeria.
I know it's not coming cheap, and I know that a lot of money has been put on the table, but to what extent is Access Bank's financial commitment to this sustainability project?
Okay, so basically Access Bank contributes a minimum of 1% of its profit before tax on an annual basis to its sustainability initiatives. So Malaria to Zero happens to just be one of the initiatives that Access Bank is leading on, but we're not doing it alone, so we believe in collaboration. And the case for malaria is that malaria kills more people than HIV does on an annual basis. So you find that about 3,000 children die from malaria on a daily basis, and that is key. That is a lot because we're talking about lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what we've then done is to partner with the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria as our main partner, our technical partner as well, while Hacey Health is our main implementation partner. Yes, so we then are able to get other private sector organizations to also contribute resources to the initiative. So we have other private sector organizations.
So the response has been positive when you reach out to other private sector players.
Absolutely.
What's the usual response?
Yeah, the response has been very positive. First of all, the credibility of the initiative. Secondly, I mean, it's Access Bank, so they're sure that we're accountable, we're transparent.
When you just said, okay, taxes, but okay,
we're leaders in sustainability.
Where do we sign right?
Not just necessarily, but also, I mean, the case for malaria. Malaria is something that we tend to ignore, but it's something that kills a lot of lives.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, why is this so significant to Access Bank? But I think you've already answered my question. Now, Isaiah, we're talking, I mean, at the heart of all of this is sustainable business practices. I mean, in terms of how widespread, in terms of how it's practiced here in Nigeria, adhered to, what were your thoughts on how we are, practicing it?
I would say Nigeria is making a big headway, and that started probably 10 years ago when Access Bank started their sustainability journey. And as Omobolanle highlighted earlier, that the way Access Bank defines sustainability is collaborative, it's engaging, and that's why, to a large extent, they have engaged the private sector, they have engaged development organizations like Hacey Health Initiative, and even government organizations. And that's why programs like Malaria to Zero and other economic development program by Access Bank is really successful. And that's why a lot of private sector organizations are into this. They're buying into this because they can see the impact in human lives. They can see the return on investment.
I was going to ask you that the impact so far, the returns, have they been tangible?
Absolutely tangible. Yes? Absolutely tangible, from our southwest to the northern part of the country, on social media, traditional media. So it's more like using every platform to make sure that you can engage those who need that kind of development more. So it's a journey and it's continuous.
Okay. Omobolanle, are you just driving this locally or also globally?
Yes, so charity begins at home. So locally, but again, through our partnership with the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria, we're able to get some support from the international community. So at some point, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have been able to support the Private Sector Health Alliance with respect, to malaria elimination. So the goal really is to support the national agenda to eliminate malaria by 2020.
Okay, I was just going to ask, when we talk about sustainable business practices, are we gauging ourselves against what is, global best practices, as it were? I don't know if I'm... Absolutely.
So if you're talking about sustainable business practice and you're not talking about sustainable global best practice, it's impossible. So for example, companies like Access Bank have included using the GRI, that's the Global Reporting Initiative, the standardized process in their reporting for their sustainability reporting. And also it involves the governance in an organization. So for example, how you're reducing carbon within your organization, how much of your organization is involved in recycling, and how much of your organization even know about sustainability. So that's what it involves. It involves engaging your employee. And you see the last report that Access Bank released, over 1 million hours of their employee has been involved in sustainability programs, including malaria, disability programs, sexual violence program, and all this kind of program across board, internally within the bank and for the community that they serve. And that's what sustainability really means, from the board to the lowest customer that you can think about.
Would you like to answer that?
An employee. Yeah, so basically, I mean, when you talk about sustainability and you talk about international best practice, there's a high level of alignment. And just to continue from where Isaiah stopped, sustainability is something that is embedded into the KPIs. That's the key performance indicators for all employees within Access Bank. And yes, we have an employee volunteering scheme. And yes, in the past 1 year, thereabout, employees have expended over 1.9 million hours volunteering in communities. But apart from that, we consider our own business, other business activities and operations in the business. And so we consider the environmental and social issues, the environmental and social risk of a potential transaction before we approve those transactions. So we find ourselves working with clients to ensure that they're able to mitigate the risk that are associated, with their transactions, even and so for as many clients as are willing to partner with us, then we are able to, provide the necessary finances for that transaction.
That's some commitment right there. You're talking about companies. How many hours Access Bank staff have put into, you talked about recycling. I'm thinking, how do we begin to replicate this and make it the norm, across the corporate world? Yes, in public service also, but I'm just thinking, how do we begin to, your thoughts on how we can do that?
I think the best way to show leadership is to demonstrate with action. And that's what companies like Access Bank is doing in the society. They are not just saying we are investing this, but they're also showing it. So, for example, since we started working with Access Bank, we've noticed a big change. For example, they now have a recycling program that is tracked within the bank, and they're also showcasing this. And we use that kind of case studies even when we're talking about to local partners and international partners to say, look, this is an example of a company that has adopted this model and it works for them. A lot of organizations across the world think embracing sustainability would actually cost more, but it would help them to save the cost.
I was actually going to ask.
So the evidence is right there for all organizations to see and embrace in terms of sustainability recycling program, the benefit both in the workplace and in office space. So it's a continuous effort. You have to continue promoting, showcasing these case studies, and also demonstrating that this leads to an increase in return on investment.
I know Access Bank has won an award for this, the whole sustainability practice initiative. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, well, just to say thank you to all of our employees, customers, and various stakeholders that have made it happen. So Access Bank was the first African financial institution to win the Karlsruhe Sustainable Finance Award for Outstanding Business Sustainability. That was in 2016, and there was a repeat of that award to the bank this year, 2017. Also, at the recently concluded SERA Awards, Access Bank won 5 categories, including being the overall winner, the most sustainable institution or company in Africa, and we won the category for West Africa as well. We won for climate action. Our CEO, Dr. Ebert Wigwe, was given an award as sustainability champion, and I also got an award as the most outstanding CSR practitioner for the year 2017.
Here's wishing you that happens again in 2018.
Hopefully.
Thank you so much. We're going to have to leave there. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
Closing by West Africa, Omobolanle Victor-Laniyan, Head of Sustainability at Access Bank, and Isaiah Owolabi, Project Director at Hacey Health Initiative. That's